Meanwhile, the clock is ticking, the deadline, and it appears a source is saying that they're optimistic Von Miller will get a deal done. It'll be $70 million guaranteed, $114.5 million proposal before the deadline. That is at 4 p.m. Eastern today. This deal would make Miller the Super Bowl MVP, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, as well as the highest paid player in Denver franchise history. Good for him. It is also the highest guaranteed money for a non-quarterback. Jacoby, how much closer are we to getting a fully guaranteed contract in the NFL?
We're not very close, and we should be. The current CBA goes through 2021. It's going to be that way until it's not that way. It's not like they're going to break that in the middle, right? So here's the thing. First, Von Miller was on Dancing with the Stars, and that's what we talked about. And he kind of kept his name in the news. But we've all been paying attention to the sports news, everybody watching, and we have. All we hear about is this deal, negotiating. Now, here we are, just hours away. And he's going to sign this. He's going to be on the Broncos. He's going to be the dominant force in the defense that we saw last year. He's going to be that again. But it should not be this way. We shouldn't have to have this happen. The franchise tag would pay him $14.1 million. What's being offered now is a 6-year, $114.5 million. That's a pretty big difference, about $4 million a year. It shouldn't have to be like this, and I expect it will not stay this way.
I always felt that there was a racial undertone to how the sports were judged based on the amount of money players make.
You have to explain yourself.
In particular, in basketball and football, predominantly black sports. Those also are the only sports that have restrictions after high school, that have salary caps. NHL has a salary cap, but you can sign an 8-year contract with your team. In the NBA, you only can sign a 5-year contract with your team. We don't talk about the ridiculous contracts, and I'm using that term because I'm hearing that a lot this summer with NBA players getting paid. It's simple math, people. They're getting 50% of what the owners make. That's it. So yes, when I see Nicholas Batum, who hasn't been an all-star, get $124 million, I want to perk up and go get in shape, but I had my turn. When I see Allen Crabbe getting $75 million, he probably never led a team in points, rebounds, or assists. Yes, that is a lot of money. Our society, unfortunately, values sports and entertainment actually over things that truly matter. And we made that conversation. Absolutely. We made that market. Let's look at baseball, all right? There are 49 active players in baseball that make $100 million or more. You know how many there are in the NFL? None. Zero. In the NBA, you know how many make $150 million? Mike Conley, the first. Just signed it a couple of weeks ago. Okay. In baseball, there are 25 active guys getting 150. There are 11 active players. These guys could walk in here and we wouldn't even know all of their names. There are 11 of these guys getting $200 million. And I love baseball. I'm not mad at y'all all. I carry a baseball bat on the show if you ever get a chance to watch it. 2 guys make $250 million, and 1 guy makes $325 million to play baseball. And we ain't talking about Bryce Harper's deal yet. He may get $400 million. But we always discuss the salaries of NBA players and NFL players like, oh, it's taboo. We don't do this for Messi and Ronaldo. We don't do this in NASCAR. We don't do this in tennis. We don't do this in golf. That's the racial undertone that I'm talking about.
Okay, on this show, I know that this is a debate show. We're supposed to disagree and everything. I really do disagree with you on this. Do you know what the numbers, the contracts are a function of? They're a function of the collective bargaining agreement between the union and the league.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yep.
It is a piece of paper. It is a contract. It is math.
Yep.
Talk to lawyers. They will tell you that. It is not a function of race. That is not how it works, Jalen. The union and the league make an agreement, and all those ridiculous contracts. Everyone's talking about everyone's getting overpaid in the NBA. They're getting paid exactly what they should be paid by the law of the CBA.
Baseball is known as America's pastime, right?
Not really anymore, but
okay.
It was.
How about this?
Because the games are so long.
No, that union got a 90-year head start over the NFLs and the NBA because it took a long time for this country to actually integrate to where multiple sports were able to play against multiple races. So now the fight that the NFL has is way different from the fight that the Major League Baseball players have. They're still fighting for free agency. Like seriously, like they have a while to catch up. And that's why you've seen work stoppages in baseball to the point where they actually missed a World Series. They stood on the table to get what they wanted. In the NBA, we have locked out. I was in the league when we locked out and missed 50 games. Okay, there was a work stoppage here recently. The last work stoppage in the NFL, 1987. So probably to get guaranteed contracts, what NFL players gonna have to do is stand on the table and be willing to miss some games. Because I play fantasy football every Sunday, and I love to do it. Imagine if we were about to play fantasy football, and you turn on the TV and they said, we're not playing this Sunday. Now all of a sudden you have that power to get the change that you described.
I don't see that happening, Jalen. I don't see that happening. Do you think there will be a lockout in the National Football League before the CBA is up?
We almost had one.
Our question was, do I anticipate NFL players to get guaranteed contracts? The only way it's going to happen fast, hopefully it happens before we get the Harriet Tubman $20 bills. Like, when are they coming?
Why are those delayed?
Man, why do they get delayed?
Where are those?
Yeah, we need those.
I want some Tubman.
I need those in my pocket right now. For NFL players, and I love football as much as I love breathing, just like so many people in this country. But in order for them to get the contract that I feel they deserve, like, I think it's unfortunate that when I see an NFL contract, I saw Donovan McNabb sign a piece of paper in Washington that gave him an $80 million deal. And you know what? They might as well wrote it on toilet paper. That didn't mean anything. So we're getting closer to it, but in order for it to actually happen, I think they're going to have to be willing to miss games.
NFL Players Union calls up Jalen Rose's phone. First of all, you never answer it. Okay? But let's imagine you answer this phone call.
Voicemail's full.
Yeah, voicemail's
Can't leave a
full.
voicemail.
Exactly. And Hustler plays when you listen.
Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah, okay. You pick up the phone
for a
this time,
decade.
and they say, Jalen Rose, we need your advice. We want guaranteed contracts. What should we do? Are you advising them to not play games and to lock out?
That's what it's going to take.
It's not going to happen.
Stand for nothing, you fall for anything. We talked about the sacrifices that people have made, okay? There are people who made NBA sacrifices that have now allowed these players to get the deals that they're getting. It's going to be the same thing, hopefully, eventually in the NFL.
But what about people that are just going to say NBA players are making a ridiculous amount of money compared to tennis players or whoever else, the other examples that you brought up, golfers?
They
don't even want to hear it.
We're not counting their money. That's the difference. That's what I'm describing. When an NBA player signs a deal, the first thing people say, oh, that's a ridiculous contract.
It's not a free market. That's the thing. It's not a free market. It's a function of the CBA deal.
They get 50% of what the owner's getting now. So now what the fans are seeing is that the players were underpaid for a long time. That's what everybody is seeing. When you don't, LeBron James ain't got a $300 million deal. Like that should be, goes without question. He should get double of what you've seen anybody sign for. But he can't do that. Why? Because there's this thing called a salary cap that takes place in the NHL, in the NBA, and in the National Football League. That truly happens. Floyd Mayweather, the champ, $100 million, 36 minutes. That's light work against Manny Pacquiao, who was hurt. Okay? We saw Dana White. What they bought for $2 million?
They bought it for $2 million. 15 years later, sold it for $4 billion.
We don't see how much UFC fighters make. I saw Conor McGregor about to get I saw Conor McGregor about to have a $10 million fight. That didn't happen. Okay? Cormier, he went from being the headliner to not being the headliner. All right? We didn't see how much their eye-popping figures are because the league and the owners get the opportunity and the head start to pocket all of the profit until the players, until the participants say enough. And so that's going to happen in the NFL. I hope it happens sooner than later because I feel bad sometimes seeing a guy sign a $100 million contract, but only $30 million of it's guaranteed.
Yeah, of course,
and I ain't gonna say only because it's millions of dollars.
Sure.
But you get the premise of what I'm saying.
And let's not sleep on the fact that the NFL did some creative accounting, and the NFL Players Association just happened to find a couple $100 million laying around. They're like, oh, wait a second. They're like, we audited your books, and there was a couple $100 million. Oh, and they're like, oh, my bad. The NFL was like, oh, I'm sorry. We made a mistake here in our Excel spreadsheet. We'll give you that couple $100 million back.
Baseball has made it, I'll say convenient because you don't get kicked out forever. But PEDs have kind of worked for a lot of players.
Okay.
They have.
Oh, here we go. Turn left, turn.
Okay, that's a baseball problem? You're going to sit here and say that's a baseball problem?
Here's where
that's a baseball problem?
Here's where I'm going.
Only in baseball?
Here's where I'm
UFC?
going. Here's where I'm going.
NFL?
The punishment. When the punishment isn't a lifetime ban for using PEDs, if I can do it and I'm D. Gordon and I'm going to lead the league in multiple statistical categories and then the Marlins or whoever going to sign me to a big-time deal, I'm going to sign it. And I'll miss those 80 games, but I'm going to pocket this $80 million. when a player in football takes PEDs, I look and say, I don't blame him. I would do it because those are car accidents on every play.
And the recovery piece.
But the punishment is a lot stiffer for NFL players. And I never would have thought that they would play a game on Sunday and then play a game again on Thursday? What about recovery? And so those leagues, that league is doing a really good job of profiting as fast as they can before change actually happens.
If I was the owner of an NFL team, I would be concerned about the direction that the league is heading in. I would be really concerned because you can see the NBA's on a rise. The NBA's on the UFC on the rise, just sold for $4 billion. Then you look at the NFL, you're like,
It's still king in America, though, internationally, of course. But I get what you're saying.
And you mentioned your fantasy football league. How much do you pay?
$10,000.
Oh, my gosh.
LeBron James, now, here's the thing. LeBron James
hate you. It's not even right.
Yeah, LeBron James, terrible fantasy player.
But he needs it guaranteed. Too bad your money wasn't guaranteed, so you could participate in these petty cash leagues.
LeBron James didn't make the playoffs in fantasy.
You were in a league with LeBron.
Yes, indeed.
Who
How
won
about
it?
that?
Who else was
What
there?
a time to be alive.
It's the only thing that you can beat LeBron James at.
Yes, indeed.
That is your headline.
But again, for LeBron,
He's got the waves going, too.
a little something. How about this? A couple of gray ones. They don't count when they're gray.
We all got it.
LeBron James playing basketball, since that hasn't become his anchor income, he's still a free agent. We're not even talking. Like, that should have led this show. LeBron James is still a free agent. And the reason why he is because unlike a player in the NFL, the players in the NBA have created the power through the finance to now pick and choose where they want to play, who they want to play with, and how much they want to sign for, and for how long. Since there is a salary cap, since there are salary restrictions, since you can't come out of the NBA after high school and play, let me see, that worked for KG pretty well. That worked.
There's
for
a lot
Kobe
of examples on
pretty
the
well.
other side and a great book
Okay.
written by Jonathan Abrams on that subject.
Absolutely. So you can enter baseball basically right out of high school. What about the NHL when you're 18? NFL, restriction after high school. NBA, restrictions.
You circle it back to the question, are we getting closer to guaranteed
Yes, we
contracts?
are.
I say, no, we are not.
I say we
Do you know, we are getting closer because every second we get closer to 2021 when they renegotiate the CBA. So technically the answer is yes, but there is not going to be a lockout. They're not going to boycott. They're not going to walk out. They're going to play until the new CBA is in place.
You know how, when I know we're getting closer, when NFL players see average NBA players making more bread than them. That's when you know that you're going to get closer, because eventually they're going to rise up.
You think
it just
that's
hasn't
gonna
happened yet.
You're going to sit here on this set and speak into this microphone and look at these cameras and say there's going to...
You got to rise up.
You think that's going to happen for real, Jalen?
No.
I hope
It's his lips to
I
God's
disagree.
ears. He's trying to make
There's
it
a
happen.
lot of
He's trying to
money.
speak it into
Those
existence.
players are making a lot of money.
I like how you wrap that all together. You're quite a professional there, David Jacoby. But so change maybe not happening in the NBA in that respect. As far as the Hack-a-Shack rules, it looks like that is happening. And that is what we're going to get into next. So are we finally done seeing players hug other players on the court and the NBA changing the rules to help deal with the Hack-a-Shack problem? We will discuss both those topics next.
I mean, they're still going to hug.